One of the reasons I love talking to men is because when you have just men in the room, you don't need to do anything but cut to the chase, all right? I don't have a lot of time to listen. You know, Joe Screwdriver's sitting there and he's like, don't make it complicated, just make it clear. And I was reading through 1 Corinthians and I saw in chapter 16, verse 13, where he says, be watchful, stand firm in the faith, act like men, be strong. And I think that act like men means, well, how do you act like a man? Well, be watchful. Pay attention, yo. Look what's going on in your family. Look where are your kids tonight? What's happening? You know, be on the job, front center. That's what it means to act like a man. Be watchful. And then I love this idea of stand firm in the faith. You know, something's been entrusted to us, the Word of God. Paul said to Timothy, guard the treasure that's been entrusted to you. And I want to entrust to my children and to my grandchildren the Word of God, undiluted, uncompromised. We don't need to cut off any corners. It doesn't need any updating. It's as strong and applicable as it's ever been. That's what stand firm in the faith means to me. And then just be strong. I believe that men desperately need other men. That's the shoulder we cry on. I don't unburden my heart to women. I'm to be strong. And if I feel the weight of something is too much for me, I get my brothers around me. And we bear, God's called us to protect and to cover and to support women, not to burden them. And that's not that I don't have a disclosing relationship with my wife, you understand. But being strong means bearing the weight of leading my family. And so be watchful, be strong, be firm in the faith, act like men. But it's really interesting because as I was preaching that, I saw the men, you know, oh, yeah, be strong. But it's awesome because the next verse says, let all that you do be done in love. And we don't need some worldly, distorted, macho man. We need to be just as tender-hearted as we are strong. And I had to learn in some instances the hard way with my own kids that the wrath of man does not produce the righteousness of God. And that a tender-hearted, loving appeal to our children in the context of a strong and growing relationship with them takes us a lot further than a distorted, macho version would. So can I put it all together? It's be watchful, stand firm in the faith, act like men, be strong, let all that you do be done in love. That's where the power is.
There's not a day that goes by in my life, and I mean this, not a single day that goes by in my life that I don't think about my dad. I don't think about people who paid a dear price and the shoulders upon which I stand. And, you know, greatness to me is faithfulness and doing what is right courageously, facing those things that are principled and right over a long period of time. And I think in our culture and society, we've defined greatness as recognition. Recognition is not greatness. I tell people all the time that greatness is buried side by side in Old Dominion Cemetery in Roanoke, Virginia. That's greatness. And my dad was great, and he was courageous, not because people knew him, not because he did any earth-shattering thing, but because every day of his life he showed up. Every day of his life he lived by his vows to his wife that he had been married to for 53 years before he went home to be with Jesus. Every day of his life, he got up and he went to work, and he put a roof over our heads, food in our stomachs, and he wasn't afraid to look me in my eye and say, liking me is not the main thing, but you're going to do right, boy, and to discipline me and to give me what I needed to fly. And his whole attitude is, look, if you fail in life, it's not going to be that I didn't give you everything that I had. In fact, when he was dying, I'll never forget this. When he was dying, in a moment of lucidity, he looked up and saw me standing next to his bed with a tear trickling down his cheek. He said, boy, I did the very best I could. And to me, that is profound, profound courage. I can give you specific stories. The time in which I was about 9 years old and a recreational director grabbed me and pushed me down the steps of the playground and accused me of doing something I didn't do. And I said I was going to go home and tell my dad. And when I went home and told my father, I'll never get this, my dad was not a violent man, not at all. But he marched down there and confirmed with my friends that this indeed happened the way I said it was. He's a wise man. He knew that perhaps his son could expand on the truth, but he confirmed that. And he walked into this playground, recreational guy, who was probably in his early 20s. And I won't give you all the details, but how he responded, let's just say it was memorable. And these words, this is the lesson, I'll never forget. He looked him in the eye and said, "Mister, you will never put your hand on anything with the last name Loritz." Now, I tell that story not because of what Pop did, but I tell that story because of the incredible value that he placed on me. And as a 9-year-old, 10-year-old kid, it just struck me to the core that my dad would not allow anybody to mess with his family. And I can tell you a string of other stories that courageously making decisions not to work triple time on Christmas. He would sacrifice